98.7 ESPN. What is up? Oh, what a day. What a day. About as good as it can get if you were a fan of the New York Mets. 800-919-3776. 800-919-ESPN. I can't get over what we just saw happen with the New York Mets. There are days in the history of an organization when transactions are made where you will never forget what happened, where you were, what news came across, when the news came across what you were doing. And this is one of those days for the New York Met fan. Francisco Lindor is a New York Met. There are paramount days. I mean, there are specific days that you think about that are turning points in the history of organizations. I think of June 15th, 1983. I think of Keith Hernandez joining the New York Mets. To me, that was a turning point type day. I think of December 10th, 1984. And that offseason, not 7 or 8 months or a year and a half later, whatever it was, the Mets go and they get Gary Carter. It was a massive day in the history of that organization. Another moment where you get this superstar player where you think he is the difference maker. And it turns out in those two cases, Keith was that first shoot a drop that brought in a player that was really special. And then Gary was the guy that was brought in to bring you over the top. And then you've got May 22nd, 1998, when Mike Piazza got traded to the New York Mets. And that first Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, seeing him absolutely hit a laser to right center field off Jeff Juden for a double in his second at bat as a Met felt incredibly special. And you felt it right out of the gate that this was something that was going to be big. And today, I have to tell you, even as a non-Met fan, I felt that way when I heard the news about the Mets trading for Francisco Lindor. Now, I'm somebody that didn't necessarily believe that making a trade to go get Lindor was the best cause of action that the Mets could have pursued. Why? Because I've talked about this quite a bit. The depth factor. The depth factor. I have always thought that the Mets should be more thinking about adding in free agency and not trading away players than adding via a deal. Now, there's no getting around the quality of player that Francisco Lindor is. And you get Carlos Carrasco as well, who I don't want to point at what happened in 2017, but even this past year pitched reasonably well. And on the back end of your rotation is a fantastic guy to have. And by the way, is just an absolutely great, great story in him overcoming cancer. And yes, you had to take his contract and you're locked into him for a few years. But to get a player like Lindor and to give up as seemingly as little as the Mets did, it was worth it. And they did this knowing they didn't want to give away the guys that they consider the centerpieces of their organization in terms of the prospects coming up, the Ronnie Mauricios of the world, guys like that moving into next year, knowing that this could very well be a one-year trade. They may sign him to an extension. You hope that they do in the middle of next year. But overall, this is one of those paramount days in the history of an organization. I'm not overstating this because this is a great, great player. Is he a top 3 or 4 player in the game? He's not. He's an excellent player. He's a terrific defender. He's a very, very, very good offensive player. He is all of these things, added to a group that already has quite a bit of power and potential. This is one of those trades that takes the Mets from the middle of the pack to the upper echelon. You know, think about the last 10 years. You know, you caught that lightning ride in 2015 when you had somebody come over in Yoenis Cespedes who just gave you an unbelievable second half of the season. And you were able to find your way on a great run to the postseason. But did you ever feel like that was a great team? You had some great pitchers. But you ever feel like that was a great team? Felt like it was a pretty good team. You know, the 2000 Mets, you never felt like they were a great team. You felt like they were a good upstart team that got on a run. The Mets now feel like they have the makings of a great team. And it's been a long time since you've been able to say that. Truth be told, it's really been since the early 90s when you thought you had it with Bonilla and Saberhagen and Coleman and Kevin McReynolds. But it was really before that. It was really the 80s when it all started to come together. Piazza was a superstar on what was a team that was pretty good. But without him, they were absolutely lost. All of this to say the following. The Mets are now legit. The Mets are now legit. And I have to tell you, I still haven't thought that for quite some time. I've thought that they had the makings that they were a decent team, but nothing I've seen over the last couple of years has screamed championship potential. We know what DeGrom is, the best pitcher in the game. We know what Pete Alonso can be and has been for a year plus. We know what Michael Conforto is, an excellent player. We know what some of the younger pieces are. Dom Smith, Brandon Nimmo. They're guys who have a chance. But now you've added someone with legitimate star, not potential, qualities. Francisco Lindor is a star, and he is a New York Met. And it's funny, I thought to myself earlier, what was the last day that a Met fan truly had this much hope and this much belief and this much just optimism that engulfed them, a feeling that they were not used to? And it turns out it wasn't all that long ago. It was November 6th, the day the sale went through. Because we all know one thing. There is no shot in you know where that this deal would have gotten done if ownership hadn't changed. It's a new day. 800-919-3776, 800-919-ESPN. By all means, be a part of the show via Twitter as well, at Chris Carlin. You can check out the live stream. That is up and running over on ESPN New York 98.7's Twitter feed and the Facebook page as well for ESPN New York, and of course my YouTube page. Anywhere you want to watch it, you can. That's just up to you. But the lines are open for us to discuss. As a Met fan, share your joy. We'll talk about some of the smaller concerns later on. Share your joy. Christmas came a little bit late. You deserve it. You deserve it. We'll also get into how this affects the Yankees, and it does very much. When this happened, DJ LeMahieu's agent had a very, very good day. But I want to hear from you the joy in your heart that exists today, knowing that you got a star player. First time in a while. Not a, let's see what he's got left, not a guy who could get it done 4 years ago. Let's see if we can recapture it. Not the dreaded phrase, lightning in a bottle. None of that. This is the real, you know what, is Carlin. 98.7 ESPN, load up the lines at 800-919-3776. Come on, let's go.
It's Carlin.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
On 98.7 ESPN. Keyshawn,
Just stepping away for one
Zubin.
second.
Oh, man. Because I've seen enough of his ability. Christopher Johnson, he said as such that they need somebody that can see everything. For me, that's important. Whatever it is that's broke with Sam, you can fix with the right person. I point to a guy like a Jim Harbaugh, somebody that's been talking about taking over for the Jets for a long time now.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. Weekday mornings at 6 on 98.7 ESPN.
With a world-class whiskey distillery in the Utah ski capital of Park City, High West is proud to sponsor the U.S. ski and snowboard team. And as Utah's first legal distillery since 1870, they know what it means to go off the beaten path. Pick up some trail-breaking, campfire-sipping whiskey from the West and taste for yourself. Each bottle is thoughtfully sourced, deliciously blended, and proudly made for whiskey lovers like you. Sip responsibly. Whiskey 40 to 50% alcohol by volume. High West Distillery, Park City, Utah.
Introducing Money Dots, a new game from the New York Lottery. Only $1 to play. And if you match with a dot, you win money. It's that simple. Want to know if you've won? Just check in store or watch the Quick Draw live show on our mobile app. Money Dots from the New York Lottery. Look for it where Quick Draw is played. Must be 18 years or older to purchase a lottery ticket. You must be 21 years or older to purchase a Quick Draw ticket where alcoholic beverages are served. Please play responsibly.
When the time comes to pop the question, everyone seems to have a guy for you. At 2 by London, the engagement shop at London Jewelers, they have a family. In its 4th generation, the team at 2 by London has the experience and knowledge to help you select or design the perfect engagement ring to fit any budget. They'll work with you every step of the way and provide a truly customized and safe experience. Shop online or make an appointment at 2bylondon.com or visit 2 by London today and mention ESPN at the Americana Manhasset, East Hampton, and Westfield World Trade Center.
The Max Kellerman Show.
The Giants went 6-10 this season, and that is heading in the right direction, which is why he's keeping his job. When 6-10 in year 3 is heading in the right direction, that's a problem. When you are bad, you get high draft picks. So Gettleman, given enough draft capital and enough time, of course you're going to win 6 freaking games. Does that mean that you keep him?
The Max Kellerman Show. Weekdays at 2 p.m. on 98.7 ESPN.
Start the year off right by committing to taste life to the fullest. Klosterhallen.
We should be back in 2 minutes.
Germany made that very same commitment when they combined craftsmanship and expertise to create an award-winning brew for the everyday pioneer. Head to your local Bottle King store, all Gary's Wine and Marketplace locations, or buy right of Jersey City. Look for Klosterhallen displays to get great savings on original, dry hopped, and grapefruit. Visit klosterhallen.us and follow them on social media for more info. Klosterhallen, taste full life. Must be 21 or older. Imported by Rataburger Group USA, Norwalk, Connecticut. Always enjoy responsibly.
Teachers, stop by McDonald's today for a free thank you treat, a free delicious new bakery sweet and premium roast coffee at participating McDonald's now through January 15th.
Small business owners don't have the patience for nonsense, especially when it comes to their internet provider. They want the best services for the best price. Simply put, that's Spectrum Business. They give you great value, zero nonsense. Just call 833-919-2121. You'll get fast, reliable internet and phone with no contracts and no hidden fees, all for a price that could cut your bill in half. Spectrum Business. Call today, 833-919-2121.
Press the button right there. All right, we're back in 30.
Wild.
Go hard
because it's win or go home. It's a super wild card weekend with 2 days of triple headers. The NFL Wild Card. Ravens, Titans, Sunday at 1 Eastern on ABC and ESPN.
(800-919-3776). 800-919-ESPN. You can also leave your comments on the video stream as well. We will work them in. They are over at ESPN New York 98.7's Twitter feed and on ESPN New York's Facebook page. Hey-o, hut. I'm a lifelong Cleveland fan. You have a future Hall of Fame player. Enjoy and appreciate him. Glad Cohen has money. People happy for the Mets. I want to hear from the Met fans who are happy right now and enjoying it. James in Spring Valley starts us off tonight on 98.7 ESPN. Special J. What do you got?
First of all, I want to preface my comments by saying I am actually a Yankee fan. So I just want to preface my comments by saying that. Secondly, more importantly, first of all, I have friends, I have friends who are Mets fans who are suffering, and good for them. They actually deserve it. I've seen the Yankees win 5 championships, so I'm not going to be one of those Yankee fans that's going to be all self-centered. So good for the Mets because I love competition.
I don't know. I still kind of hear it in your voice.
Yeah. I love competition, man. Competition breeds excellence. Now, here's I got to put this from a Yankees perspective. You mentioned earlier about DJ's agent being happy, and the reports with the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. I feel like ultimately he will be back a Yankee, but I feel like, Chris, as their days lead on, as more days passes, it doesn't. I feel less and less of certainty that DJ is going to stay a Yankee. And if you're the Yankees, you can't let Plan B, Plan C, Plan D go away because without DJ LeMahieu in that lineup, I just
James, I'm going to be blunt. I'm going to be blunt, James. I don't want to talk to you right now. Thanks for the call. Call me later. We'll get into it. I don't want to talk to you right now. This isn't your time. This is not your time. It's their time. Your time comes a little bit later on. You call back, well, I put you on maybe. But you knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. Nobody wants to hear from you right now. We will get into the Yankee aspect of this in just a little while. Don't worry. Don't worry your pretty little head. And, trying not to be arrogant about me, let's be fair. We could all hear it, couldn't we? Mike in Valley Stream is next. Mike, do I have to ask if you're a Met fan?
Carlin, you do not need to ask. I've been a Met fan since I came out of the womb. My father and mother grew up in Flushing. Before I start...
You came out of the womb and you threw on one of those plastic Met helmets.
Exactly. The ice cream cup. That's what my parents
Exactly.
But I just want to wish you and your family a happy New Year first and foremost.
Thank you. You as well.
Great start, 5-3. And I got to say, today was, as a Mets fan, today was one of the best days of my entire lifetime. I don't even know. I'm ecstatic. I'm going to have it shown later. It's crazy. It's just, to me, the trade that we made, Carlos Carrasco, with a 2.92 ERA, if we get that Carrasco and Noah comes back, Carlin, I don't know what to do as a Mets fan. I got to go to Flushing. I'm going to stay there till April. I'm going to put up a tent. I don't know what to do with myself, Carlin.
Well, just wait and find out if they're actually going to let you in the building first. But your excitement is more than understandable. Now, look, I don't know that you're going to get that Carrasco. I think you're likely to get the Carrasco that has spent the majority of his career in the mid-threes. And if that's the case, fantastic. With his ERA.
You know what? I'll take that. I'll take a middle of the road starter. We paid Porcello to be a fifth guy.
No. No. Porcello was, let's hope for the best. Let's that's another trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat like Michael Wacha. No, that's gone. That the spring training invite is gone. Not that he was one, but let's call it what it was. You know, Porcello might have won a Cy Young a few years ago. Porcello stunk. And we knew that before he got here, that he had really had his best days well behind him.
And now we're paying the same price for Carrasco. I mean, you got to give it to him. Sandy, I want to kiss his feet, his beautiful feet.
This took a weird turn, but thanks, Mike, for the call. I understand. If it makes you want to develop a fetish, hey, that's your business, man. It's your journey. It's all good. But I think overall, you look at Carrasco's contract. Could it be a problem in a couple of years? Maybe, but let's not worry about that right now. There's no need to worry about that right now. He's locked in for a few years. And make no mistake about one thing. The Mets made this trade under the auspices of it being a one-year trade. I'm not saying they're not going to re-sign him. I'm not. Okay? I'm not saying this is like it would have been before, like when the Mets traded for Mike Hampton, but they weren't going to pay him anywhere near what he got. No, that's not what this is. But Sandy made this trade, and Jared Porter made this trade, knowing full well, considering what they were giving up, that he could walk away in a year, and they may not be able to match that price. And they are content with that. But they're, I'm sure, going to have an outstanding opportunity to sign him. When I say this is about what his performance is going to be this year. I'm not going to mention the names of the two former Cleveland Indians who were infielders who we all know about, who ended up here. Well, there's no need to mention those names tonight. But if for whatever reason he turned into that, bye-bye, and really not a whole lot of skin off your nose. Teddy's in Belford. Teddy, what's up?
Wanted to say we got the teamwork to make the dream work. Let's go, Mets go. Frankie Lindor coming in, Carrasco, huge. But I'm a 33-year-old Mets fan, Chris. And since Mike Piazza, we haven't had a trade like this. And to be honest with you, the offseason isn't even over. You hear Sandy and Jared Porter talk in their press conference today, and all they're talking about is let's wait for the market, let's wait for the market. Well, the market's falling to us because we got the money now. And as a Met fan, it's so weird to even think that way.
I know.
That's why I feel like he's sitting there talking Rick Porcello. Go get Jake Odorizzi. Go get Brad Hand. And this would still be an excellent offseason if we didn't get Trevor Bauer and George Springer.
You're not getting Trevor Bauer. That one's out the window. Trevor Bauer can put his little googly eyes on Twitter all he wants. He's not going to be a Met. Adios, son. Take a walk. Trevor Bauer wants to make even for 1 year on a 1 year deal wants to make more than Garrett Cole. Take a walk, honestly.
Well, let me ask you, Chris, if Trevor Bauer came to Cohen and said, "Give me 1 year for $35 million."
No.
And we didn't sign anybody yet.
I wouldn't do it.
Would you swallow the pill for 1 year?
I would not. I absolutely would not. No, because Trevor Bauer at $35 million, I wouldn't do it because he's coming off of a career year, and I know what he did in 2018, but I'm looking at the totality of the package. And Trevor Bauer has not been what Garrett Cole has been for the majority of his career. Trevor Bauer does not deserve that kind of money off of one massive 11-start season. And 2018 was a good year, but I'm sorry, no.
Would you spend the money on Hand, or would you go for Liam Hendricks?
Well, I mean, they're not going to. Here's the thing that you need to understand about relievers right now, and thanks for the call. Brad Hand was let go because he was making $10 million a year. And the Indians didn't want to pay for that anymore when you can get relievers to get people out at $1 million, $2 million, $500,000. You know, you look at the Rays bullpen and all those guys throwing 98 that they talked about. None of those guys are making any real money. The bullpen is where it's going to take big hits this year. So you're not going to see $10 million relievers. But you could see Brad Hand get $5 million. I could see that. I could see the Mets adding bullpen help at that kind of a number because it's reasonable. It's more than reasonable. A lot of these owners are going to start pointing toward bullpens as the place to cut back financially. Because when you have guys who can get outs at the low price of $1 million as opposed to 10, why would I give him 10? Chris is in New Jersey. Chris is up next, 98.7 ESPN. Cristobal.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
I was going to say, would you agree that the Mets now have the best hitting infield in the MLB? If they move McNeil back down to second and JD to third, Lindor at shortstop, and then Alonso at first base?
Honestly, I'd have to look. I'd have to look around. I don't know that I would say that yet, and frankly, I don't know that it would be that important. I think it's more that when you look at teams offensively, the Mets just put themselves in the upper echelon of offensive teams as a whole. As far as the infield, I don't really care if it's the best hitting infield. That doesn't do anything for me. I just want to score runs.
It's fair.
You know?
I would say even with the outfield, you have Conforto and then Dominic Smith moving out there too.
Yeah, you know, Sandy talked about that today and indicated that Smith's going to have to play out there a lot, but he doesn't love playing him out there a lot. Sandy is hoping and praying for that DH because he absolutely, if they were to sign George Springer, would want to play Nimmo in left and DH Dominic Smith. He absolutely would want to do that. I don't know that that's going to happen.
Yeah. Cohen's got money to spend, so.
He does, but just don't expect. Listen, he did today, and thanks for the call. Don't expect that this is going to be a continuous thing. They are not going to try to go and win the offseason every year with massive moves all over the place. This was a great big move today. You have to feel awesome about it. And you should. The question, though, is where do we go from here? And is there another big move to be made? That's not as locked in as you think. 800-919-3776. Your responses on Twitter as well. Do that at Chris Carlin by all means. We will hit the calls. We'll continue on them. Andy Martino of SNY will give us some very interesting insight into all of this coming up in just a bit. Carlin.
It's Carlin.
I am not building a shed.
On 98.7 ESPN. You can't miss a moment.
Hey, Chris, you got to read after this one.
Okay. Hello, my people on the stream tonight. What is up?
And I would not be shocked if they went on from Sam. I like Sam personally. I don't think he's as gifted a passer as we saw in college. I wouldn't be surprised if they did do something else and take another quarterback with a high draft choice.
Greeny, weekday mornings at 10 a.m. right here on 98.7 ESPN.
All right, friends. Listen up. I've got the perfect way to make the playoffs even more exciting this weekend. It's called Same Game Parlay Bet, only available at FanDuel Sportsbook. Same Game Parlay Bet lets you combine multiple bets from a single game for an even bigger win during wild card games. You can combine the money line, the over-under, the player props, all in one parlay. And best of all, FanDuel is letting you place a Same Game Parlay Bet risk-free. All FanDuel customers can get up to one $10 bet back on your bet if you don't win. The playoffs are the perfect time to give one a shot. The app is so easy. FanDuel pays in as little as 24 hours. If you haven't done it already, just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, sign up to get started, and use the promo code Carlin at sign-up so they know the big fella sent you. That's promo code Carlin at sign-up. Now, if you're a current customer, then you're all set. I'm looking at the Bills this weekend. You know what I like to do with these same-game parlays? I like to go to the individual players. Like, I'll be intrigued by Josh Allen's over-under on rush yards. And maybe I'll tie that in with the over-under, something like that. Stephon Diggs, a little banged up, receiving yards. That's what you do with the same-game parlay to really make it interesting. You got to be 21 and older, present in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund's $10. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Small business owners don't have the patience, especially when it comes to their internet provider.
Let's see. Finn Gregory. Look at that camera quality. So, Finn, are you joking or is that legit good? Because I did just invest in a new camera. And I'm trying to make this whole thing look as good as we can.
All for a price
especially
that
when
could
you
cut
got
your
this to
bill
work
in
with.
half. Spectrum Business. Call
Let's see here.
833-919-2121.
Will Graham chilling.
ESPN New York is always looking
watching
for
you
great,
happen for
qualified
Met fans and all
individuals
Jet
to fill open
fans.
job positions.
Finn says legit. All right, that's cool.
Team,
that's good.
Visit ESPNcareers.com or call 646-699-6699.
Steve Brzezinski Bauer is a weirdo. No thanks, I'm good. And he's a Yankee.
Distribute employment information or for job seekers to
how about Waddy to the Jets? We're going to talk about Kaplan,
ESPN New York is
Deshaun Watson,
employer.
and the Jets later on. Hint, hint.
Tonight on Fox.
For the first time ever, Hell's Kitchen will take place in Las Vegas.
Gordon Ramsay gets
Martin,
16 high-rolling
great way to keep viewers calm.
Vegas is a gamble.
A chance to win it all.
Let's see.
Go big
I've never seen such perfect cooking.
or go home.
You know what? Appreciate all that. Very kind words,
My
brother.
lamb that he just threw.
Good stuff.
Hell's Kitchen, Las Vegas.
John
Premieres
Puccini, he
tonight
felt
at
Carlos
7
fine here.
Central
Thanks,
on
Jets.
Fox.
There's no escape. You
All right,
can't
guys.
hide. They're following you. Your cravings for nacho fries will never stop. The warm nacho cheese sauce and savory Mexican spices will not let you get away. So there's only one thing left to do. Run to Taco Bell because nacho fries are back. Head to Taco Bell and silence your cravings before nacho fries disappear again. Only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. locations for a limited time only.
Hindsight is 2020, and 2020 was a brutal year that for most of it felt out of control. But you know how you can be in control? You can be in control of your job, your career. Yes, in 2020, my computer career helped more people start IT careers than ever. Don't look back with 2020 hindsight next year and see yourself in that 2020 job. Take control. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. It's not rocket science.
You got 90 seconds.
.edu.
AutoZone has more ways for you to start your job your way. That means getting what you need fast. That's why AutoZone offers free same-day store pickup. You can order online and pick it up today at more than 5,800 AutoZone locations. Or if your job can wait, AutoZone offers free next-day delivery on orders over $35. Free next-day delivery is available on over 100,000 parts, including ones for jobs like replacing your brake pads and rotors or installing new wipers. Visit AutoZone.com today to start your job fast. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
2020 was a year worth leaving behind. So 98.7 ESPN is changing it up for 2021. It all starts with DiPietro, Canty, and Rothenberg with their new show at 5 a.m. going till 8 a.m. every weekday.
Start banking your sleep, people.
Change the way you wake up. And
I got to check in with Dave to see how he's doing
so that
sleep-wise.
is gigantic.
Because the mornings,
do their thing from
that
8 a.m.
is
to 10 a.m.
Brutal.
Oh.
At 10 a.m. and goes till noon.
I did
Bart Scott
mornings
and
and
Alan
went to
Hahn
morning
moved
shift
to the
for
noon
4
to 2 p.m.
years.
slot, leading you into the
My
Max
entire
Kellerman show
life
at 2 p.m.
revolved
And
around
of
what I was
course,
going to say.
it's the
And
number
it was
one sports
miserable.
radio show in New York, the Michael K. Show at 3 p.m.
Watch out, competitors.
Followed by Chris Carlin at 7. Larry Hardesty and Gordon Damer round out the day at 10 p.m.
I think this is a great opportunity for the station. I'm excited about it.
On 98.7 ESPN.
Over on Twitter, earlier today, Junior, after I posted a video with instant reaction on Twitter, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess you won't like the Lindor trade. Well, guess again, Junior. I am not always Mr. Negativity. I try to look at things a different kind of way, objectively. I love this trade. Joseph J. Luisi on Twitter, checking in as well. He could not pick the prospects the Mets gave up out of a lineup. People like this have zero clue. This is 100% a no-brainer. Long as you hold tight to your core farm, you are fine. These tales are all about, please listen to my show. Joe didn't even watch the video because I was saying how much I liked the trade, and there are just one or two things that you want to check in about. Joe, be informed. Information is power, Joe. Dempsey's in the Bronx. Next, 98.7 ESPN. Dempsey, go.
Carlin, how are you doing? Good evening.
What do you got, Big Cat?
So I wanted to talk to you about the Giants. I know there's a lot of big news and stuff like that, but I've made my piece about Dave Gettleman coming back. I wasn't really big and hyped about how their press conferences went. It was kind of just mundane, but I'm all in on Joe Judge. Just the two things I think the Giants need to do is before the draft even gets here, the two biggest free agent moves, I think, is Leonard Williams. I think you offer him the Olivier Vernon level contract, 5 years, $85 million. If he wants more, if he wants $20 million annually, I think you let him walk, and I think there's other options out there. And secondly, I think you got to do whatever in your power to get rid of Evan Ingram. That man accounted for over 50% all turnovers. He was directly responsible as a Giant. If I was as a Giants fan, I want all Giants fans to sign a petition to remove his Pro Bowl and give it to Big Bob Tunyon over at Green Bay.
Listen, Robert Tunyon's a nice player. He is, and thanks for the call. I can't agree more about Evan Ingram. It's time. And you don't necessarily have to trade him at all costs for nothing and let him go for nothing. You don't necessarily have to do that, okay? You can get something in return. I'm just double-checking his contractual situation. But you don't necessarily have to just let him go for nothing. You have the fifth-year option on him. So, with that being said, would I trade him away? Sure, I would. I'd have to get a second-round pick for him. I'd have to, because I spent a first-round pick on him, and we do know the ability that he has. I mean, that's unquestioned. It's just, can he get the stupid out of his game? Eric in Staten Island is next, 98.7 ESPN. Eric, what's up? Eric! You're gone. Benji in Manhattan is next, right here on 98.7 ESPN. Benji!
Hey, how are you, Chris? I called in a couple days ago to talk about the Knicks, and just before I start, you probably know my uncle, Dr. Mark Diamond, out in Morristown.
I do know your uncle. He was partners with my father way back in the day, and Dr. Diamond is a tremendous, tremendous guy, and a huge Cleveland Indians fan, if I'm not mistaken, so this has got to be absolutely killing him.
Yeah, he's crushed today, but he kind of knew a fire sale was coming. So
yeah, and please give your uncle my best, and he's great. I love him.
I will do for sure. I called in a couple nights ago, if you recall.
I do.
I made the sort of brief reference of Emmanuel quickly to having the savvy of Lou Williams on the court. So now that you've kind of had some time to digest last night's win, wanted to see if you wanted to go retract your statement about the Knicks being a bad team, because
after one more game, no, I'm not going to retract. No.
Well, here's the thing. The Knicks are finding ways to win.
They are
in a variety of ways. Last night they were 8 for 22 from three. Normally, a team
and four of them came in a row late from Austin Rivers. Let's not forget that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, has been terrific against all odds. And many people, when I brought to their attention of how smart a signing it was at the time, because Austin Rivers has always played second or third fiddle to big stars, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, James Harden. He's always
like fourth or fifth fiddle, not second or third, fourth or fifth.
Right. Okay. Totally true. But he is a guy with a lot of skill, and he gives the Knicks a lot of versatility. He's actually a better defender than many said. I'm very encouraged by this team, and I think you have to be.
And listen, I don't begrudge you for being encouraged by what you see. I mean, they've won 5 games so far out of 8. That's terrific. All I'm trying to say is they're not a great team. They're not even really a good team, and you're going to find that out sooner rather than later because, yes, there are guys who are doing some good things, but you need to keep this in mind. Like any other sport, there are adjustments that are made. And teams adjust their scouting reports as a result. And teams are going to start making it tougher on Emmanuel quickly. And teams are going to not leave Austin Rivers wide open for threes. And they're going to start to defend the Knicks differently, and it's going to get tougher. And then the Knicks have to turn and make their adjustments. It's a nice start to the season. The Knicks are not an overly talented basketball team. They're kind of an underly talented basketball team.
That's all fair, but if you look at last night, teams have been playing.
If I look at one game, yes. Come on.
All season, teams have been playing zone against the Knicks to try to find their weakness, and we found a way to get it done. 8 made 3-pointers against Utah Jazz.
And now teams will try something else. Yes. They got a great stretch down the end of the game last night. I'm not denying that. I think you have to feel great about that, Benji, and I appreciate the call. All I'm telling you is clock's going to strike midnight here at some point. The Knicks are not a 33, 34, 35 win team. They're not. And by the way, you don't want them to be. You shouldn't want them to be. Not yet. You still need more talent. I'm not telling you to tank, but you don't want the Knicks to be the 8th seed to get their doors blown off in round 1. That's not what you want. At the very least, be in the lottery, okay? They have lottery talent. Let's be clear about that. 800-919-3776, 800-919-ESPN. We get to that next part of it for the Mets in just a moment. What exactly does this mean now for George Springer or Trevor Bauer or whomever? What does this mean for them? We discuss momentarily.
It's Carlin.
Double sneeze. Killer.
On 98.7 ESPN. Mornings with DCR.
This Michael and Rick relationship. I don't understand it. Okay, cool. Each other, and I don't get it.
Dave Rothenberg is jealous.
How am I jealous?
Because I've supplanted you. He's done with you.
Look at Rothenberg. He's hideous. But didn't he have you on the show a couple of weeks ago?
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that wasn't even a real book, by the way, too. I mean, it was like the holiday book he had in.
Pietro, Canty, and Rothenberg. Weekday mornings from 5 to 8 a.m. on 98.7 ESPN.
Teachers, stop by McDonald's today for a free thank you treat, a free delicious new bakery sweet and premium roast coffee at participating McDonald's now through January 15th.
Hey, Verizon customers, are you tired of paying all those extra taxes and fees? The average Verizon Wireless customer pays over $120 a year in added taxes and fees. With Spectrum Mobile, you'll pay $0 in added taxes and fees no matter how many lines you have. So stop paying and start saving with Spectrum Mobile. See how much you could save by switching. Go to spectrummobile.com/saving today. Spectrum Internet required. Visit spectrum.com/facts for details.
New year, new sportsbook. Get to know BetMGM.
Brewster, next, 98.7 ESPN, Nat. What do you got, Nat? Nat! So disappointing. You know why? Because Nat wanted to talk about George Springer and exactly what now. And this is where we're going, because now you have this question. Is this it in terms of the big guys with getting Lindor, or does this now turn into we're going to go and add Springer to this mix? Now, my understanding from weeks ago was that this was likely going to be add one big player and then some ancillary players, more bullpen help, maybe another back end of the rotation starter, which you got today. You could still get another because, as we know, you are always going to need 7 and 8 starters during the course of a season. There is, I think we're all a little bit expecting more than we probably should. You feel great today, right? You feel like this is the start of something big in terms of how they could play. But I got news for you. This is not the start of something big and how much more money they're going to spend. I'm fearful that at this point, you're not going to go and get George Springer. And it is a need. Let's be clear. Yes, another big bat in the lineup would be fantastic. Lindor, being that guy, is exceptionally helpful, especially as good as he is defensively at shortstop, and he's only 27 years old. All of that's great. You need a center fielder who is better than Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo's a nice, decent player, and he had a nice OPS last year, above 800. He did a really good job. Brandon Nimmo's not your guy when we're talking about this kind of player. He's not. Brandon Nimmo is the guy that you'd either like to play in left field if you have the DH and you can DH Dominic Smith, or rotate Dominic Smith and Pete Alonso. Or Brandon Nimmo's the guy that you have coming in and being your fourth outfielder. That's what you'd like. That's what we talk about. That's what we mean when we discuss the depth factor. You have to understand that as great as it is to get a player like this, you still have to remember that it's going to be about a group. You know, the Dodgers, look at how they won last year. They won, yeah, they spent a lot of money, but they won because of the depth. They won because of the depth of their pitching staff and players that they weren't necessarily counting on turning into guys who were real contributors down the stretch of the season. Adding depth here is a must. It's an absolute must. And that's why, to me, if you bring in Springer, you are making your team not just stronger through the starter, but on the bench as well. Because Nimmo is somebody that can come and do a lot of different things for you. And I'm afraid that this now means that George Springer is not going to be a Met. I don't think he's going to be now. Look, you went and you got your one big-time player. But if Springer's talking about, I don't know, $150 million, is that going to happen? Likely not. Don't hold your breath. Because they got a catcher. They obviously have a shortstop now. You know, if they're going to play McNeil at second and, you know, J.D. Davis at third, then in center field, you're going to play Nimmo. You know, that's not a terrible defensive infield up the middle. 800-919-3776. Eric is in Staten Island. He's back. Eric, are you okay? Is the caller there?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm here. I was driving at work, and I was going through a dead zone. I lost the call.
Oh, I hate the dead zone. I always used to hit the dead zone right on the Deegan, just past Yankee Stadium, right before the Triborough. It was an awful dead zone.
I work in the Bronx. I know exactly what you mean. And right now I'm in Staten Island, and I was on the expressway, and there's a spot between, I don't know if you know Staten Island, but between Huguenot and Victory on the Staten Island Expressway. It's pretty bad. I just had two quick points. First, for the guy who called earlier, who wasn't trying to be smug, but was actually being a little smug, the Yankee fan.
Yeah.
It's just a small taste of what we felt like for years when the Yankee fan made the splash and the Yankees got the big name and we sat by with our hands tied behind our back. Now, just a little taste of what we felt like for years as Met fans. So just sit back and stew in it. And the second part was actually what you were just touching on now. I just wanted to know what you thought about Springer and Bauer, or maybe even little cheaper options, Jackie Bradley, Odorizzi. Do you think they're done? Do you think there's other, maybe smaller, maybe not the big splash, but smaller moves to be made?
Yes, I do think there are smaller moves to be made. If it's not going to be Springer, I could see Jackie Bradley being a possibility. I could absolutely see that.
Okay, yeah, because with Cohen so unpredictable and so gung-ho about passionate being a fan and wanting to win, and having obviously the financial backing that he has, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen and it's wishful thinking as a Met fan, but I wouldn't be surprised if he pushes the chips to the table and says, you know what, we're all in. We got the team to win now. Let's go get a big player.
I would be, because I think they just went and got that big player, and I know what you're talking about, but how many times is it that the team that goes out and signs all the big players in the offseason, how many times is it that they actually go and win right away?
Not very often.
Exactly, and that's why I would caution against that thought process right now, and thanks for the call. I don't think that's what Steve Cohen's thinking. I think Steve Cohen is somebody that made $14 billion by letting other people do their jobs, being smart, hiring smart people, and also being heavily invested himself, but understanding what he knows and what he doesn't know. I don't expect Steve Cohen to be making big baseball decisions. I think that's why he brought in Sandy, and I think that's why Sandy brought in Jared Porter. I think they brought in Jared Porter to eventually take over for Sandy. So keep all of that in mind. I don't see that Steve Cohen is going to say, just go do this. That's not Sandy's way. And it doesn't mean that Sandy's not going to spend either. He wants to spend. He just is going to do it judiciously. That's why they're not handing, Lindor a contract extension right here, right now. Justin, Elmwood Park, next, 98.7 ESPN. Justin, what do you got? Justin.
Hello?
That's you, buddy.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Two quick points here, Chris. First, on the Lindor trade, obviously we are happy as Mets fans. It's a big splash that we all wanted this offseason. They were long awaited. But here's my question now. Do you think we gave a little bit too much for a guy? I mean, yes, he's a generation talent, but he's going to be a free agent next year. And like we're talking about, the contract extension is going to happen during the season, after the season. That's one question I have. My second one is about, yes, Springer wants $150 million, but right now we have an all-lefty lineup outfield. Who's the left fielder? You're putting Dom out there. He has to have his at-bats, but he's going to be, a defensive, he's going to give you not defensive outcomes that you need. And like I said, 3 lefty outfielders, and you're thinking about Jackie Bradley Jr. signing him, he's another lefty. So we need a righty, and Springer was the guy, but now we're talking about the 150. I don't know.
I'm not terribly optimistic right now. We're going to talk to Andy Martino in a few minutes about this, that they're still going to go and get Springer. I appreciate the call. I think that more than anything, it's likely that they are going to now turn to adding to the bullpen, adding more depth to the back end of the rotation. That thought process. Think about it, though. You get Syndergaard back, and you have a rotation that has DeGrom, Stroman, Syndergaard, Carrasco, David Peterson, and Steven Matz, if he's a swingman or whatever Steven Matz is going to be. I'm not counting on much. But you get the point. Like, it's nice depth. And you even want a little bit more to that, whether it's Odorizzi or somebody else. I like the way it's coming together, but I do wonder what this means now. And thus, we will get that question answered next when Andy Martino of SNY joins us. It's Carlin on 98.7 ESPN.
The Michael K. Show is...
Sorry about that, Chris.
He's made a trade.
What do you mean?
About the Q.
No. I gave the Q because I looked at the clock.
Okay.
Let's count on at the top of the hour that I will give the Q and go hit the hard number there. Okay?
All right, cool. All right.
Cool. No, it was perfect.
All right, cool. I'll call Andy now.
You have his number?
Electric plug.
Yeah.